Yeah, we always enjoy these weeks because you get to work with typically about sort of 14, 16 senior players, and I think the work is always really good and intense, and you get a feel of real progression there. But then you also get a chance to look at players like Darius, Kieran, Loic maybe in a touch more detail, and obviously we're integrating one or two of the new boys over the course of this week. So it's been good. It's not obviously without its frustrations because you're leading into what is now just undeniably the decisive game of the year, certainly in terms of the Western Conference title and Supporters' Shield standings, but they're not without the same problems and disruptions. So it's sort of a shame that it's come in the build-up to this game in particular, but we've certainly made the most of it, and we've really enjoyed the time on the grass.
Now that you've had a couple of days to look at Dominik a little bit, what's your sort of first reaction to him?
Yeah, I think he's as sort of as advertised, neat and tidy on the ball, and will certainly help us in terms of creativity and craft, particularly those situations that we find ourselves in more and more so now, where we're trying to break down a team on the top of the box. I think there'll be an adaptation physically required for sure, because I feel like this league is pretty unique, I would say, in the sense that every single team that you encounter across all other 29, they're of a certain level. There's no games in this league that are distinctly lower quality than others, I would say. I think by design that this is a league that represents that most in the world, I would say, and obviously that means that there's a physical level that goes with that maybe Dom won't have experienced up until this point. So I think there'll be an adaptation there. Hopefully that takes place sooner rather than later, but certainly has quality on the ball and will definitely add to the group in that sense.
Do you think Saturday would be too soon for him?
I think we'll see as this week goes on. We're conscious of seeing how players pull through from the international games. I think so far it's been a relatively good picture, I would say. We've still got Rosales' game to go today. Still waiting on how it all pans out with Triantis, who's obviously going through the final stages of his paperwork at the moment. And I think once we get the full picture come Thursday as we travel to San Diego, then we'll start to make those decisions. But Dom's played a number of games already this season. It's not like he's 2 weeks into a pre-season. He's done a pre-season. He's played the opening games for Vienna. So I feel like if we opted to play, he'd be in a good position.
Last year when you were incorporating Joaquin, it was kind of the defensive things that he needed to get up to speed with. Do you have similar things with Dominik, or is it not so much?
No, I think so. I think that's driven by two things. One is the step up, I would say, physically that this league represents relative to where Joaquin came from, and certainly relative to where Dom's come from. But also we obviously sit at a fairly extreme end of the spectrum in terms of playing style, and there are some quite unique demands I think that players need to adapt to here. I think players like Joaquin, Tani, they've really benefited from that. I would say Bongi's really benefited from that. I think if you look at how complete a player Joaquin is now versus the player that we saw when he first came in, I think just that the demands physically, defensively, sort of tactically, discipline-wise, they've really benefited him. I'd say Bongi also represents that, and I hope Dom will see the positives of that over the course of the coming weeks and months. But that's not to say that it won't be without its teething problems, because as I say, it's not an easy team to play in, but I feel like once you invest in playing in the way that we play, it can be really helpful for your career, and I think there's a lot of players that would hopefully speak to that.
You've throughout the season, you've done a lot of managing people's minutes when you have multiple games in a week. When you have two like this back to back, where it's two of the bigger games of the year, you just sort of set that to one side.
I think so, and I also feel like because of you get the extra day in between. It's not Wednesday, Saturday. It's Saturday, Wednesday, and I think that gives you the chance. If you wanted to play exactly the same team from game to game, then you certainly could do. But I also feel like the two games are very different, I would say, in the sense that San Diego, for us, undeniably, it's the team who has most possession against a team that has least possession. That's going to require certain characteristics in the way in which we play, in the players that we pick. And then I think the Austin game will be, certainly from a possession perspective, will be far more balanced. We're playing at home. Austin are a team that are also relatively good at defending low and counter-attacking, so I think that will require possibly a different skill set across a couple of players. So I think the decisions will be driven by the nature of the game more so than managing minutes. But I think then as you get to Chicago on the other side, that very quick turnaround Wednesday, Saturday will be something that we'll have in mind. But I feel like by that point, with hopefully Triantis having been in, maybe made his first steps onto the pitch, and the internationals back, and very close to a clean bill of health, and that's including Hassani, then I think we'll find ourselves in a good position.
What do you take away from the first San Diego game? Obviously, Wessel's first game, some teething moments for him. What do you take away from that?
Yeah, no, and I think we don't always use the previous game against an opposition as a reference point, because as time goes on, as the season progresses, as players change, it's not always that relevant. But I think with them, they do have there's a lot of similarities, of course, between the way in which they were playing then and the way that they're playing now. We're obviously quite a unique team in how we play, so it's not always easy to spot clear reference points when you watch, I don't know, LA or Portland play against San Diego. So I think that game in particular is a very clear reference point, and I think it panned out roughly how we expected it to pan out, and I think we had the chances that we'd have expected to have. If I remember correctly, we sort of let the game get away from us in a 10-15 minute spell in the second half, but I think there were a lot of bits that we would try and take forward, but I think we're a better version of ourselves from that point onwards, and certainly in terms of personnel, we will be much fuller. We'll have the full contingent to choose from, and I feel like if we can take the best of that day, add to it, and then add the best of what we've got in this group, then it'll be a really tough game for them. But I think certainly from the perspective of like a neutral who's interested in strategy, tactics, playing styles, it's a really interesting game to watch from that perspective, and I've certainly enjoyed watching snippets of that game back, because I feel like it's a real chess match in that sense.
You said including Osani there, as if there was a chance of him playing again this year. Is that a possibility?
I think it is. I think it's a possibility. I think it's been talked about internally. I'm not sure of the finalities of that and exactly how it will pan out and when, but I think based on how the window went, there's obviously there's space. He's progressed quicker, I think, than he would have first expected, and obviously you'll have seen him involved in 3 of the 4 parts of the session today, so I think that's a conversation to be had, but obviously he's someone that at his very best can certainly contribute to the group, and I think if he gets to a point and physically that he's capable of doing so, and the paperwork can be done and everything can be ratified by the league, and again this is me speaking completely on my own accord and not with the sort of legalities or whatnot of it in mind, but I think it would be a conversation for sure.
You kind of have a different schedule this week with going to San Diego early. What was the thinking behind that?
I think it's primarily driven by the time zone adaptation, and I feel like there's been points where we haven't gone 2 days in advance, and the big time zone swings that have seen us, as an example, Portland, when you concede a goal in the 94th minute, it ends up being, I don't know the exacts, don't quote me on this, but it's beyond midnight or something relative to where you were the day before, and I just feel like at this stage of the season we want to try and control everything that we can control, so by taking that extra day and adapting possibly slightly better than we would have done had we gone the one day before, I think we want to feel like we've turned over every stone, and it's not for every player. I mean, there are some players that much prefer just going the one day before, but there are also a decent contingent of that group that at this stage of the season would want to feel like we are doing absolutely everything we can to make sure that come 7:30 in San Diego on Saturday we're in a really good place. So there's that, and then when you consider people's travel schedules, it's much easier for them all to fly into San Diego as opposed to coming here and then flying again on the Friday. So I think that's stripped away some travel time for people like Boxy and Carlos Harvey and Joe after today's game. So I think it's the most balanced decision and hopefully one that pays off.
Is there an update on Farina and when he might be coming?
I think he's probably on a similar time scale to Triantis. I think they're both possibly sort of finalising everything today, but then you're also having to factor in full days, if not sort of day and a half's worth of medicals, and then with it being such a quick turnaround between that point and us travelling on Thursday, then I think it'll be touch and go. But I think we're at the stage of the season where if there are risks to be taken, then it's probably worth taking them. So we'll see how we get on with those.
Is Ant dealing with something?
Yeah, he's been able to do the majority of the last couple of days, but we're just sort of being really strategic with managing how much of each part that he does. And I think with us having so many big games coming up, it's obvious that we've got depth in that position, and we can choose from him and Joe. So I'm mostly concerned with making sure that we take a long-term view with how we manage him, as opposed to really pushing him for Saturday's game as an example, and then find out that costs him the rest of the year. But I think judging on today, without having spoken to the medical department, I think it looks like if he wanted to play Saturday, then he certainly could. So I think we'll see how Joseph comes through today, and then we'll make that decision.
What is he dealing with?
I don't know the specifics, but it's a little knee something or other.
Looked like Kelvin came through today pretty well after missing on Friday.
Yeah, and I think that's another. We're probably taking the same approach that we did with Kelvin in the sort of over cautiousness, in the sense that both Kelvin and Ant are not going to get distinctly fitter by training at this point in the season. They both got to a really good point physically, I would say, and I think the thing at the moment is about freshness, and in those cases a risk aversion, and I think the time that Kelvin had off his feet has benefited him this week, and obviously he is someone that we are very reliant on now, so we want to make sure that where we can keep him fresh and fit that we do so. So, yeah, good.
For someone that has played in Austria your entire career, why make the switch to MLS and come to Minnesota?
Yeah, I think I played the last 19 years in Austria, my whole career, and it was time to make a change, to see new things, new football, new culture, and I think the MLS is a good step for me.
What's it been like going to a new club for basically your first time ever?
Yeah, it was the first weeks I was a little bit unsure. It's easy for me to go away from home, so far away from home. It's like I think I travel like 20 hours to Minnesota, and yeah, but I'm here now a few days and it feels very good. The teammates are very nice. The whole staff, the first impressions were very good.
What do you feel like you can bring to the team? Obviously, a creative midfielder. What do you feel like is your skill set to bring to the team?
Yeah, I hope that I can bring in my qualities, my last passes, and my creativity, and yeah, I hope that I can help the team sometimes when the games are hard, or with that I make some passes like I did in Austria.
What made you take number 7? Anything behind that?
No. I speak with Mitch, our kid manager, and he say these numbers are free, and I don't know why I take number 7.
Is there anybody you reached out to learn about MLS before you got here, or kind of get some feedback on what the league is like?
Yeah, my agents had one player 3 years before at Washington DC, and they told me a little bit about how the life is in America and how they play, and yeah, I think, and I watch games by my own.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the football, like Messi and the big stars now, and yeah, it's a pleasure to play here.
What do you think will be the hardest thing about coming to MLS?
I think the tempo, it's like different. The first trainings now, I feel a little bit tired. In Austria, it's a little bit different. It's not so much counter attacks and the stuff. And yeah, but I think I need 1, 2, 3 weeks, and then I'm full in the team.
How do you feel like your fitness is? Because I know you've had some games in Austria already this year.
Yeah. Good, but the last 2 or 3 weeks while I wait for the visa, I only train by my own, and I think it's different when you play with a team or on my own, and yeah, I think I need a little bit of time, but I think I get the time.
When Joaquin came into the team last year from Argentina, it was talked about how the defensive tasks that Eric has for the team were part of the adjustment period. Do you feel like that is similar for you, what's asked of you defensively as well?
Yeah, I think so. I think in Vienna it's the same. It's very important to defend the whole team, and our team, we play the same system. We play also 5-2-3 or something, and it's nearly the same. And yeah, I feel good with the system, and I hope I can I can help the team soon.
How much have they been drilling you in about how important set pieces are around here?
Yeah, very important. But I think it's not that much difference to Austria. It's not exactly the same, but I think you can I don't know in English, you can I don't know. Yeah, next question.
Is any family coming with you, or?
Yeah, my girlfriend is coming with me, and yeah, we now watch for an apartment, and then yeah, next year I'm sure my family come sometimes when they have time, and yeah.